Hey guys, it's Kayla. Welcome back to my channel. Um, I've posted earlier a video slideshow of just I tried to get pictures of from when the kids were born, till now, as many as I could. It took forever because you have to go to your upload page, like you're getting ready to upload a video, and then it'll give you an option to create a slideshow. And then once you get there, you either can use photos from your Google, which I don't have any on there. So I had to upload them directly from um, my computer or from Facebook or something. And I don't know, I started doing it really early today. And then Summer got on my computer and I hadn't finished what I was doing and exited out of the that tab. So then I had to start over. But anyways, some of the pictures of Summer aren't the best quality because I had to take pictures of the actual photos because with her I have more pictures that are developed, because we use disposable cameras and stuff. And then with Gabe, I used more of, just having him on like an SD card or um, uploaded to Facebook or something. So anyways, I just wanted to mention that. And I've already done my 3-month update video yesterday, I think. And so today I was gonna kind of give like a backstory of more into like the details of Summer and Gabe and my marriage and just kind of some background information because I don't think I really have talked about anything into too much detail before. Um, but I know I have talked about before that I am married, and I think I've mentioned, that we've been together. July 27th will make our 10-year wedding anniversary. Um, let's see. Um, we got together in 2006, like the end of April, beginning of May. And then I think I actually got pregnant with Summer about 6 or 7 months later. And then when I was 6 or 7 months pregnant is when we got married. And then we had her September of that year, 2007. Um, and we got married just at the courthouse. You can go and like pay for a marriage certificate. I think it was $100. And basically, that's all that you do. And you get your marriage certificate and you're married. So it's almost been 10 years, the 27th, and I would like to have like a vow renewal ceremony or something in the future. Um, we can't afford it right now, but I guess everyone, even as a younger child, you want to have a wedding or just like that special day, um, like a vow renewal ceremony or something like that would be just as special because you could do everything that you do in a regular wedding. But that's one thing that I want to do in the future is have some kind of, even if it's, I don't expect it to be like some people's weddings, just something where I could have a dress, the kids could, get dressed up and then have some type of ceremony where you walk down the aisle and maybe have like a reception afterwards or something, and dance. But so that's one thing that I would like to do sometime in the future. And okay, let's see. So Summer was born September 2007, and then I was 19 then. We got together when I was 18. We got married when I was 19. Um, and had her in 2007. And then when I was 21 or 22 in 2010 is when we had Gabriel. And I wanted to mention a little bit about him because on some of the pictures on the slideshow that I uploaded, sorry if you can hear the kids yelling in the background. I have the door shut, but they're in there playing and watching something. But on the slideshow pictures, if you've watched that yet, I just uploaded it a few hours ago. But there's pictures of Gabriel when he was born, and you can tell that he's in the NICU. I think there's one where he has a feeding tube or maybe an oxygen thing on his nose. So I wanted to give a little background on him and why he was in the NICU, just in case anyone notices that and asks. Um, he was born August 2010, and I had both Summer and Gabriel at the same hospital in the town that I live in. Um, but they only they only have a labor and delivery. They don't offer a NICU. And so years later, they did eventually close down the labor and delivery part. And I'm guessing that's why, because they didn't offer, the intensive care unit for babies, the neonatal. So, and I think that that's a good thing, because if you're in the hospital giving birth and something is wrong with your brand new baby, and it has to go to a NICU and it's not right there with you and has to be transferred somewhere else, it just makes it a lot more complicated. So I'm glad that they did, end up shutting that place, the labor and delivery down. But I think the doctors and stuff went to some other hospital, or worked somewhere else. But anyways, whenever I was in labor, well, with both of them, I had to be induced, like medically induced, where they give you the IV of Pitocin. Summer was like a week after her due date. And so they told, they say with the first child, sometimes they can be later than the due date. And she was 8 pounds, 2 ounces. So I'm guessing with how much she weighed and everything, they didn't want to go any later than a week after the due date. So they went ahead and admitted me into the hospital. Um, gosh, I had her September 13th, and it was probably over 30-hour labor. So I'm not exactly sure what day they admitted me to start being induced, but it did take over 30 hours. I even remember that, where it's your first child, I wanted to feel, all of the labor pains and stuff, just to see how bad it got. And so I remember they asked me if I wanted an epidural, and I waited like 10 hours later till I ended up getting the epidural. But when you're on that Pitocin that they give you and they keep turning it up and turning it up, it makes your contractions so much worse than if you were to have the baby naturally without that medicine. So I didn't end up having the epidural, but I did wait. I wanted to kind of see how far I could wait and see how bad it really got before I went ahead and had the epidural. But anyways, I had her the 13th of September, and she ended up having jaundice. So we stayed right there in that hospital. They were able to do the treatment for jaundice, because all you had to do is be like in a little incubator with the light on for so many hours a day. Um, and so she was there, and I was with her too in the room. They let me stay in the delivery room that whole 7 days, and she was under the light. And then once your their bilirubin levels or whatever get down, which is normally after their bowel movements, then it started to go down, and she got um, was able to be released. Let's see. So as far as um, her delivery, the jaundice was the only issue, and then also they did say that she had a minor heart murmur when she was born. But we went to a cardiologist for so many months after she was born, and even for a couple years, we'd have to do like a checkup cardiologist appointment. And over time, it did close up. The heart murmur went away. So that never was a further issue. After it closed up, it went away, and we haven't had to worry about that. So that was the only two issues she had at birth. Um, I know after I gave birth to her, they actually had to give me a shot in my leg, because they said that I was like hemorrhaging more than I was supposed to after delivering her. I do remember getting that shot to make the blood clot better or something. Um, but everything else was good. I breastfed her for about a month, but I didn't really eat or drink a lot after I had her, first baby, and, you're running around crazy taking care of, your first child. And I'm thinking that's probably why my milk dried up quicker than it should. But anyways, I did do it for about a month and I loved doing it. It also, that first month that I did breastfeed, I lost weight, like probably 30 pounds in a month or something. I mean, I lost weight quick when I was breastfeeding her. Okay, so that's about it for summer. Um, that was in 2007. In 2010, August, um, is when Gabriel, I actually had, it was an OBGYN appointment, like a checkup, because they do checkups, like I think at the end of your pregnancy, you'll end up going like once a week for checkups at the OBGYN. And I forget exactly what happened, but I remember that they had to let me do the stress test or whatever, where I think they made me go in a room and they put the monitor on over my belly to monitor him for so long, and it checks the levels or something. Um, but they ended up finding out that my amniotic fluid was lower than it's supposed to be. So because of that, I really, really wanted to, where I was induced with summer, I wanted to try to go naturally and be at home unexpectedly going, to labor and have my water break and all that stuff naturally, because with summer they broke my water themselves, and I wanted to do it naturally with Gabriel. But when they seen that the amniotic fluid was low, they had to immediately admit me and start inducing. And they did it a lot quicker with him. I don't know if it's where the fluid was low that they, thought it was more, urgent to get me into labor. But I remember them coming in there like every less than an hour almost and turning up the Pitocin. And that caused the worst contractions, like where they did it so quick. Um, but anyways, I guess where the fluid was low, it put him into stress. And so, you know how the nurses normally have you push the baby all the way down, and then they'll call the doctor to deliver the baby. Well, they had me push him all the way down, and then they called the doctor, which was a woman, and she was across the hospital at the OBGYN office, and they called her and told her to come over. Well, they had to call her a few times. I guess she was busy. So Gabriel, was just down there waiting to be pulled out or, pushed all the way out. And during that period of time, we didn't know until they had pulled him out that he had a bowel movement in the womb. And I believe he did because of the amniotic fluid being so low, and it put him into distress. And where he made a bowel movement, he ended up, and where he was down there, I always wonder if maybe I could have done something to the hospital for that. But anyways, where he was, just waiting to be all the way delivered, he was in there longer, and he aspirated on the meconium. Um, they delivered him. He came out and everything and cried and everything, and I held him, and I think I even started to breastfeed him. And then the nurse noticed that he was in, some type of respiratory distress. I guess his nostrils were flaring or one of those signs. And so they took him and they suctioned him and everything. And I guess it was already to the point where, it was beyond repair in the room and stuff. So they ended up taking him into the nursery. And then hours later, they told me that they were taking him to the NICU. Well, the NICU is in the next town to ours. So they were taking him there in an ambulance. And because where he aspirated on the meconium, he ended up having a pneumothorax, um, which is similar to having like air in your lungs and causing your lung to collapse. So he ended up having a chest tube to get the air out. He was on a ventilator, all these things at the NICU. And I had to get them to hurry up and discharge me so that I could leave and go to the NICU that he was at and be with him. So, anyways, that was stressful. But where I had him, naturally and everything, they did let me be discharged so that I could. But after all is said and done, he had the chest tube, like I said. He still has a little scar on his side. Was on the ventilator and stuff while his lung was collapsed. Um, he was on the feeding tube for a little while once he was awake because of the surgeries and all that, he wasn't having the sucking reflex that well, but he eventually got that back. And total, he was in the NICU for about 30 days before he was released. And let's see. Um, and now he doesn't have any problems as of right now. But for a few months to a year, I used to give him breathing treatments. And I guess it was something that was recommended from the doctor. They recommended that he have breathing treatments and stuff where he did have the issues with his lungs at birth. But as of right now, he's 6 and he hasn't had any problems. I've always been nervous because I guess because of that happening, but also with Summer, they didn't do some of the tests that they done with Gabriel because of the year difference or whatever. But when I was pregnant with him, they did all these tests, like they do the sugar levels and, all these different tests. And I ended up finding out that I was a carrier for cystic fibrosis. And I never knew that with Summer. They never told me that. But with Gabriel, I found out from their pre-screening or whatever that I was a carrier for cystic fibrosis. So that always like made me nervous, especially where I guess where he had the issues at birth with lungs and then the breathing treatments. And I don't know, that just for some reason it just has always made me nervous. But as of right now, he's doing good. Um, if anybody ever has to deal with their baby being in the NICU, it's horrible. We would sometimes just stay the night in the waiting room because, Summer was 3 at the time, so it was even harder. But he, oh, I thought of something. Now I forget. Um, Dang it. I totally just lost the train of thought. I thought of something while I was talking, and then I kept talking, and now I lost it. um, hmm. I know at one point when he was in the NICU, they said something about hydronephrosis, but then I've never heard anything else about it. So that's something to do with your kidneys. But as of right now, he's healthy and has had all kinds of checkups. He's had to have some dental work done, but that's about the only other thing that I can think of. Okay, so after Gabriel was born, I think it was about 30 days. Yeah, okay. With the insurance that I had, if you want to have your tubes tied, they make you sign a paper and um, you're not allowed to actually go through with the surgery until 30 days are up. So I remember, I don't know when I signed the paper, but I remember a couple months after Gabriel was born, I went back and had the tubal ligation. And I was like 22 at the time. Um, but we had a girl and a boy. Um, we were actually living with people at the time. I had just went through all that stress with, him being in the NICU and I don't know. I was just in a weird place and I chose to get my tubes tied. I believe the law back then was you had to be 21 or have 3 kids, and I was over 21. Um, and yeah, there's times where I regret it, But if I really sit and think about it, I don't think that I would want another one. I think the only thing that I miss is, the baby stage, because they're not babies very long at all. You turn around and they're a few months old or 6 months old or walking. And so that's probably the only thing that I really miss is get the baby fever. But let's see. And now, years after that, I ended up having to get one of my ovaries taken out anyways because of cyst. But so I don't know if that would have caused problems or not. But I also years later got diagnosed with endometriosis too. So let's see. I'm trying to think if that's about it. I wanted to mention more info on Gabe just because of the pictures. I don't know if you can hear that, but people outside are doing fireworks at 10 o'clock at night.
When can we do fireworks?
We're going to watch the fireworks. Okay, guys. Well, this video is already 20 minutes from me rambling about Summer and Gabe. So, I don't know. I just feel like talking to you guys tonight, I guess. Say bye.
Bye.
I hope you guys have a great night and be safe if you're going to mess with fireworks. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Bye.